I'm Dominic Sanchez, and this is my story. If I'm starting my story honest, I gotta start when my parents got divorced. When I was 1 year old, my mom divorced my dad. My dad was addicted to substance, and my mom decided to divorce him when I was 1 year old. He left me in the house alone, and from there on, that was the last time I saw my dad until I was 5 years old. When I was 5 years old, I first met my dad. I thought everything was gonna be great. I thought he was a superhero. I thought he was a bodybuilder. Man, he was showing me his muscles. He showed me all these things. Little did I know that he was actually in prison. That's where he got those muscles. My mom never let me in on anything that was happening with my dad. And so as time went on through my elementary school ages, I learned that my dad wasn't the person that I thought he was. And I had a big problem with that. I would go to daycares and I would see, man, these people got the perfect family. They got the perfect dad and the perfect mom. And I was like, man, why don't I have that? And I remember I grew up super jealous. I was jealous of anybody who had a mom and a dad, anybody who had anything that I didn't have, because I felt like I was less than. I remember growing up going to Clovis Unified. I didn't stick there at all. It was a suburban school district. I had ADHD. I was the kid who had to count down from 10 when my mom was brushing my teeth. And so I was just like the circle peg fitting into the square hole. Like I didn't fit anywhere. And I ended up going to Fresno Unified, an urban school district. And when I was there, I ended up getting hooked in with the wrong crowd. When I was in elementary school, I was super violent. I wasn't listening in classes. Even though I was really smart, I felt like because of my learning disability, I could never unlock any approval from teachers, any approval from anybody. Anything I did, whether it was academic achievement, if I was good at math, good at sports, it was never good enough because I couldn't behave in the classroom. I got in fights and all that. So I felt rejected my whole life. I remember going to daycares and I was physically abused in daycare. And I remember recurring through my head in dreams that I'm a bad kid. I'm not worth anything. And I remember seeing myself in pictures and declaring that stuff over myself. And as I went through life, I dealt with a lot of sickness in my family. My mom got cancer when I was 8 years old, and I remember just scenes of depression, scenes of utter hopelessness. I remember the church was there for me in the first week of my mom's cancer, but then after that, for that whole year, I never saw anyone, and I felt like I was abandoned. I felt like no one was there for me. I ended up going into 5th and 6th grade, and I get kicked out of all my after-school programs, so I start going to my grandparents' house. And if you know anything about me, you know that my grandpa and my grandma were really a big influence in my life. And so during that time, my grandfather actually developed a football-sized tumor in his stomach. And during the course of those 2 years, I slowly watched my grandfather deteriorate until on my 6th grade camp, he went into a coma and died. And so that was a huge factor for me. When I went into middle school, I ended up cutting someone with a rusted blade, and my dad, I remember him calling me on the phone and telling me, man, why did you do that? And I ended up getting kicked out, put on probation, and that's the last time I heard from my dad. And I went through life just getting kicked out of schools. I got kicked out of Clovis North. My mom thought maybe if I put him here, maybe that'll be good for him, and he's ready now. And I ended up getting kicked out of there. I went to Bullard High School, kicked out. I ended up skipping 72 classes. I ended up getting involved with people that were involved with gangs, and I'm like, man, you know what? The teachers don't want me. The people in my life at daycares, at churches, I had to get kicked out of youth groups and stuff, and I'm like, man, nobody wants me. Partly that was my own lens that I was viewing life through because of certain things that happened in my life with my dad, with certain people that spoke death over me. And so that's how I viewed life. Nobody wants me, nobody cares about me. And so I'm like, I'm on my own. I'm gonna find approval in these people because this is my tribe. And I remember when I got kicked out of the school, no one was there. No one was there. No one cared about me. And the people that I thought cared about me, now I was in a time of disillusionment because the people that I thought, man, maybe these people care about me, they were gone too. And I remember someone from the church that I was going at during that time invited me to a Christian camp. And when I went there, I remembered the words of encouragement that people spoke over me in past seasons. And they said, you know what, you have a destiny, you have a purpose, God has a plan for your life. And I remember right there, I gave my life to Christ. And from there, I went up in the middle of the stage and I told everyone I'm gonna go in the highways and byways and I'm gonna reach people for Jesus. And I ended up getting called as a missionary at 16, ended up going to Oregon and Bible college and ended up coming back. God said, I know I want you to be an urban missionary. And now I've reached like about 5,000 youth for Jesus. And it's all the glory to God. And I just wanna encourage you that whatever story you're walking through now isn't your ending. You can turn your pain into your passion. into your purpose. That's what God does. And so maybe you feel like you're rejected, like nobody loves you, but God is looking down on you and He's got a plan for your life. And if you give up now, you're never gonna reach what God has for you. So I wanna encourage you, don't give up, and make sure to always share your story and be acquainted with it. That's my story.